What's going on, everyone? My name is Henry from Ahead of the Curve 94. Thank you so much for tuning in to this very special episode of Old Habits Die Hard. On today's show, we're going to discuss the 10-year anniversary of what might be my favorite. Scratch that. Hands down, this is my favorite Christopher Nolan film. If you've been following this channel for a long time, you know how much this film means to me, and I reference it all the time. Here we are, folks. The magical moment is finally here. Let's go. Per usual, we must read the plot synopsis via Wikipedia. Thank you so much. And yes, Wikipedia, I've donated to you. Stop asking me all the time, okay? You're getting greedy. Can you move on to someone else? Interstellar, 2014. Set in a dystopian future where Earth is suffering from catastrophic blight and famine, the film follows a group of astronauts who travel through a wormhole near Saturn in search of a new home for mankind. Long story short, folks, the Earth is sick of us, and she's telling us to get the fuck out. So, off rip, yeah, this is one of those films that, well, it's kind of polarizing if I'm being honest. I think generally speaking, the consensus that it's gorgeous, it's a beautiful, epic film. But it's just so goddamn mind warping. Whenever you introduce time travel, insert Ant-Man from Endgame, yeah, I get it. Thank you, Paul Rudd. Anytime you insert time travel, things are gonna get a little wonky, and well, this is no exception. Outside of the fact that I still can't explain half of this shit, even 10 years later. Outside of that, let me say, in my opinion, this film is just about unparalleled when it comes to scale and scope. This is one of the most gorgeous films I've ever seen in my life, and oftentimes the colors are a little muted and drab. I mean, look at Earth. There's not really much going on right now. There's no colorful vegetation spread all over the land. Nah, motherfucker. We got cornfields and dust. Speaking of which, stock up on your corn, people. Thanks to this movie, yeah, we're never gonna go without corn, okay? More on this later. What else do we need to get out the way? Sound mixing. Jesus Christ. Thank you so much for subtitles, because between Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer, it's just not properly mixed. There are times when the score, which goddamn epic, there are times when that score is taking over the dialogue, and if I was in the theater watching this shit, I'd probably be a little pissed. Luckily, I'm at home where I got subtitles, baby. It's all good. What else? Dialogue. Okay, sometimes it's really fucking cheesy, and it's like this. On the nose. Okay, I would not doubt that at all. But in my opinion, there's usually a payoff for it. And, that's gonna be up to you whether or not it's worth it. Hey, everyone's mileage is gonna be a little different. And lastly, before we really get into it, I want to say the relationship between Cooper, Matthew McConaughey's character, and his daughter Murph, who's played by two different characters in the film. We have a child actor and then an adult one later on. Once again, we'll get into it, but that relationship in this film, it's the core. It's literally the center of everything. It's a little awkward when you bring in the fact that Murph isn't his only kid. So it's like, hey, I have this son named Tom, who's played by young Timothy Chalamet, later on played by Casey Affleck. This character, man, he is just a foil to Murphy, and that's in the second half. The Timothy Chalamet part, there's not really much there. I'm willing to bet Nolan's somewhere in his office editing his next film. He's thinking like, boy, I should have kept me Timothy Chalamet. That was a horrible impersonation. Sorry to my UK fans, and specifically Movies and Beyond. My bad. Who are we kidding, people? Tom is just a little bit of a plot device to keep the story moving. it is what it is. Okay, so yeah, now that we've established some base ground rules, so to speak, let's really dive into this shit. So I mentioned early on that the Earth is dying. We meet Cooper, who's the head of this family. There's Murphy, Tom, and then Grandpa, played by, oh my god, why am I, John Lithgow, Lord Farquaad himself. Yes, he is there simply to help with the passage of time, to let you know that there are stakes, and well, not everyone's gonna make it out of this one. If you're old at the beginning of this film, you're probably not gonna see the end of it, okay? Just putting it out there. Ooh, holy shit, I am totally skipping something. Murphy is played by 3 actors. We get child, adult, and elderly Murphy. Okay, so let's put that in. And who did they get to play the elderly version? Goddamn Ellen Bernstein, okay? Yes, her. If you've seen The Exorcist, you know what I'm talking about. So life on Earth, it's really shitty. The movie takes place somewhat in the distant future where it's, sort of advanced, but not completely lost to what we have here today, okay? I would say the biggest changes would be the robots in this film. They're unlike any I've ever seen before. Yes, they're not like humanoid robots. No, they're not like that. They are goddamn rectangular who can just break apart and do multiple things. It's cool as fuck, okay? So yeah, we're living in a future where that's normal.
What's your viewer setting, dog?
That's 100%.
Bring it on down to 75, please.
What else can we say that's futuristic? Drones. Early on, we're introduced to this drone who's just flying around in the skies, seemingly for no reason at all. Later, we find out it's for a very important reason that sort of kicks off the entire plot. For the most part, they're kind of just there in the background. We don't draw a lot of attention to them, especially later on. I gotta say, though, it's pretty cool that Cooper has drones to do the farm work around the house. I mean, hey, I ain't mad at it, man. Early on, they established that a lot of crops are not coming in. I believe Michael Caine's character later on states that the last harvest for corn ever. So, yeah, shit's getting rough. Can you imagine everything eats fucking corn? I know there's people out there who like, hey, that's infinite food supply. No. This looks horrible. It's cornbread, corn on the cob, canned corn. Don't forget your cream corn. Where's that at? Actually, I don't have cream corn, but we got golden sweet, all right? Matter of fact, this one's no salt added, so let's live a little longer. Speaking of corn, there's so much shots of cornfields early on. I dare say this film has a little bit of a corn porn fetish, okay? That's just me. Hey, one man's opinion. Early on in the film, Cooper's driving around with Tom and Murph. They're having a good old time. In comes this random drone just minding its own business. Cooper decides he wanted to do a classic white people thing. He's gonna commandeer it, so to speak, and give it purpose. Typical white people. But honestly, I'm more mad at the fact that, hey, we're starving here. People are struggling. He decides to chase the drone through a goddamn cornfield. And I'm just like, okay, what you're thinking here, sir? Fuck this corn? I gotta hijack a drone? I don't know, man. That's a little fishy. For the sake of the plot and its conveniences, that actually is the catalyst for what we get later on, okay? Cooper and Murph specifically are able to trace the drone's previous location, so to speak. They come across coordinates that leads to NASA. Not the public NASA that we all know. No, this shit's underground in some backhole state where you can't find them easily. Matter of fact, they even say directly in the film, this is the greatest kept secret. So it's like he stumbled into the Illuminati headquarters or the Church of Scientology. Sorry, Tom Cruise. This is really where things start to take off. Cooper is brought in so that he could go on the mission because he's a wonderful pilot, which I never established earlier, but hey, this film's almost 3 hours long. You cut me some slack here. We're gonna skip some shit. It turns out though, he's the perfect man for the job, like the only one who could have done it. It turns out also that they were gonna go with or without him. So, I mean, he's really torn. It's like, do I really need to do this? Or can I just stay, enjoy, the rest of my life with my kids? knowing that I probably wouldn't see them again because I'm going to another goddamn galaxy. Yeah, I don't know if I could do this, people. I don't know if I'm that strong, but hey, that's the movie we're in. So Cooper reluctantly agrees. Tom and Grandpa are, on his side, supporting him. Meanwhile, Murph is putting up a fight. She's gonna have that chip on her shoulder for a long time. I'm not gonna say daddy issues, but I'll let you fill in the blanks. Instead of reviewing every detail, I'm just gonna really just tell you how I feel with this one. Mostly because after 10 years, I can't explain it. As we progress through the film, new elements are introduced. The idea of time slowing here, but going normal here. Extremely accelerated over there. Time travel is a huge element of this film. And honestly, I don't think I could even really review it without mentioning that early on. There's just hardly any way for me to just squeak past it because, well, it's a little bit of like the writer's get out of jail free card. If you have questions, wait till the end. Let's see what happens. Most likely they're gonna give you an answer of, yeah, it was Cooper. Or it was Murphy. It was one or the other. And Interstellar does a really good job of, in my opinion, and in my opinion, this film, Interstellar, it does a really good job of just dropping you in without really explaining things. There's a con to that later on, but for the most part, I actually like that they established this world and it's like, hey, you're either in or you're not. Keep up. We got a lot to discuss. Keep the fuck up. The stakes are set within the first 45 minutes. Yes, in a nearly 3-hour film. Let me just say, it takes about 45 minutes for Interstellar to Interstellar. Okay? So, hey, yeah, that's gonna throw some people off, but it's legitimately setting up the stakes for later. This is not a popcorn film where you could just doze in and out of, check your phone. Watch this shit. Sit down, watch it. So now our crew of 4 people, 4 brave astronauts. We have Matthew McConaughey, who plays Cooper, Anne Hathaway, who plays Dr. Brand. Next up, we have David Gyasi. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. He plays Professor Romilly. We have Wes Bentley, known as the weird beard dude from Hunger Games. He's playing a guy named Doyle. And the last bit to sort of round out the crew here, we have Case and Tars, who are robots. Case is the more, get the job done type, and then Tars is mouthy and sarcastic. While we're at it, Tars is my MVP. When this came out, I remember a lot of complaints hearing about how it's too derivative of so many other movies set in space. Sure, there's gonna be inspiration. As my good friend, the Black Enigma, subscribe to him by the way, one time he told me this really simple thing that I kind of changed the way I look at things. I believe it was quoted to him as well, and he's sort of passing it on, but he told me that there is no such thing as an original idea. He's absolutely right. Just like this right here. I'm not the first to review goddamn Interstellar. I mean, shit. A million people have done this already. Especially when the movie was new. I'm waiting 10 years. Nobody's talking about Interstellar anymore. Yeah, I remember people saying it's too much like 2001, A Space Odyssey. Especially with the docking sequence. People love to bring that one up. What else we have? Event Horizon, which came out like decade and a half or so before. Gravity came out the year before this one. And I gotta be real, yeah, it took some elements from those and so many other films. Shit, Christopher Nolan steals from himself, which I do as well. In my opinion though, this is the one that does it best, okay? That's just one man's opinion.
We learned these coordinates from an anomaly.
What sort of anomaly?
I hesitate to term it supernatural, but it definitely wasn't scientific.
You're gonna have to be specific, Mr. Cooper, right now.
It was gravity.
So early on, we have this cool little moment between Cooper and Romilly, where Romilly is just like me, goddamn terrified of where he's at. Can't say I blame him here. This is horrifying. There's so many shots of Earth in the background. It's just getting smaller and smaller, spiraling. I literally wouldn't be able to wrap my mind around this. This would break me. Personally, they're gonna put me in a medically induced coma to get me to do any of this shit. Because once you bring out the cryogenic chambers, yes, those fucking things, no, Fuck no. Ain't no goddamn way I'm getting in one of those. Not happening. Once they approach this black hole that's gonna take them to an entirely different galaxy, oh, this shit really picks up, people. I watched this the other day. I still get chills as they are approaching this shit. I could not do this. There's no way. No matter which clips I decide to put in this one, it will not do this film justice. You need to see this. Watch it on a decent sized TV with the volume at least moderate to high, because that is definitely the way this film was curated. This was not something you're supposed to just watch on silent in the background. No, 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 no. The sound design is too impactful on the entire thing. Where were we? Yes, the black hole. Holy shit. So they literally just guide into it and oh my god. And the shit works. It takes them to this unknown galaxy where 3 other astronauts are already somewhere on distant planet. We have Miller's planet, which we visit first. That's the water planet. Yes, that one from the goddamn trailers. Honestly, I think this is the part that sold me on the movie. I don't even remember any of the black hole shit. I remember seeing goddamn wall of water. People, I just learned how to swim. At the time, I was way worse, but 10 years later, I just learned how to swim like 4 or 5 months ago. Not that swimming would help me here. It's still a goddamn planet full of water, but it's so epic. And I hate using the word epic. Recently, I did my Fury review, which was also a 10 years later episode of Old Habs Die Hard. I hate using the word epic today, but when it fits, it fits. This shit is next level. The second option, we have Dr. Mann's planet, who we'll get into later on. And the last option would be Dr. Edmund's planet, who, well, he and Dr. Brand have a little thing going on. She is legit in love with this guy. I can't speak for Edmonds because he never appears in the film. Ooh, I need to mention, on Miller's planet, the water world, so to speak, non-trademark, don't you dare come for me, Kevin Costner. For every hour spent on this planet is 7 years on Earth. So Matthew McConaughey is straight up early on. He's trying to get in, get out. He's like, look, y'all, I got kids right now. 2 hours later, I got adults at home. Grandpa's fucking dead. Like, the stakes are so real. And at least as of this point in the film, things are looking bleak. It does not look like this shit is working at all. Of course, later on, it turns out everything worked out the way it was supposed to. Wes Bentley's character does not make it. Doyle is a fucking dumbass, okay? I don't know what to tell you, people. He's literally by the shuttle, just sucking his own dick or something. Like, do you want to die? Because you are. So yeah, the crew is down one. While Brand and Cooper are on their way back, Romilly, who decided to stay back and, study the black hole some more, try to figure out what he can about the planets. Long story short, people, I'm not sure how long he slept, but when we come back, it's been 23 years. So they've spent a little over 3 hours on this planet. Oh man, fucking repercussions. This is where we get the heartbreaking moment that always just pulls me in every time. This is where Cooper has to watch his kids grow up through a TV monitor. And honestly, it's really just Tom, because Murphy is, well, she still got that chip on her shoulder. And later on, she gets to express herself, but she ain't happy. During this sequence is where we transfer from the kid actors to the adult actors. They do a horrible job at this point, though. They sort of explain that Tom, Timothée Chalamet, Casey Affleck, they do a kind of horrible job explaining something really important, though, if I'm being honest with you. It's established early on that Tom has a child while he's sort of young. The kid's name is Jesse, if I'm not mistaken. Unfortunately, Jesse doesn't make it, people, and then when we see Tom later on as Casey Affleck, he has a whole new son named Coop. So, in my opinion, they didn't really establish that he lost a kid. I just thought maybe it was a nickname. It's like, yeah, his name's Jesse, but we want to call him Coop. No, completely different child. So yeah, that's a little bit of a knock on this film. Jessica Chastain now takes over as the character Murph, who's now working for Michael Caine's character, who's sort of like a head person at NASA. He's literally the one in charge of the mission. Somehow, this old motherfucker is still alive 23 years later and hadn't aged a week. I mean, he still got the same goatee. No new wrinkles? Come on, Nolan. What we doing here? Goddamn. Also, it's revealed that Michael Caine's character, he's holding on to a deep, dark secret. The entire plan of, hey, find us a new Earth so that we can move and migrate over, that was never really an option. Legit start over with new people on a new planet. There was never any hope for anyone on Earth, at least in Michael Caine's head. Yeah, people, it's supposed to be a one-way trip. Unbeknownst to the crew, they decided to go to Dr. Man's planet, and that's the ice planet, which, if I'm being honest, I don't think you needed to enter the atmosphere at all. This looks like shit. It's also revealed that each day on this planet is 134 hours. Holy shit! That's 5 days and 14 hours. Can you imagine waiting on something you anticipated? Like, I don't know, movies, or some people love shoes. Can you imagine be like, hey, look, it'll be here in 3 days. So what's that on Earth? Like 2 weeks? Like, what the fuck? But hey, apparently the planet is hospitable. Dr. Mann, played by Matt Damon, is alive and well, and well, we're ready to head home. Mission accomplished. We're good to go. Psych. Matt Damon is a complete maniac in this film, and had I been in his position, I'd probably become him. I'm not proud of that, but there's no way I could literally do any of this shit, people. I want to be strong. I couldn't do solitary in prison. Knock on wood. His whole thing is like, if I just push this button, somebody's gonna come save me. And say what you want, people. He snapped. That twist is a huge punch because this cost Romilly his life. In cinema, I hate it when we have to kill off the minority character for no absolute reason, especially when they decide to stand back so that the white heroes could live on. In this case, Romilly is not a statistic at all, okay? He just dies. He didn't go out like an SMS. It's not that case at all. This entire sequence, dope. The shots, the score, Hans Zimmer just going stupid in the background. Dr. Mann and Cooper get into a fight in their, big clunky space suits. It's actually pretty cool. Unfortunately, Dr. Mann, once again, who snapped, he doesn't confirm that Cooper's dead. So Cooper's able to reach out to Dr. Brand. Her, Tars, and Case all escape. Meanwhile, Dr. Mann had took their ship, getting ready to leave them. Cold-hearted motherfucker!
Dr. Mann, listen to me.
This is not about my life or Cooper's life. This is about all mankind.
Fun fact here, this is sort of like the second of 3 back-to-back space set films for Matt Damon. In 2013, he did Elysium. 2014, obviously this film. And then in 2015, The Martian, which in a way I kind of consider The Martian to be a prequel to Interstellar. It's almost as if he survived the events of this film, and for some reason they decided to send him back, and well, this time he snapped. Meanwhile, on Earth, we have adult Murph. Didn't mean to make that rhyme, but she's working with goddamn Eric Foreman, and they're trying to pick up where Michael Caine's character left off, okay? Michael Caine gave up. These two, they're not. Besides trying to solve the equation that will save humanity, she's also embroiled in this family feud with her brother. Oh man, it's tense here. There's a lot going on in this film. They explain most of it, but it's not really something you might catch on your first viewing. So let's cut back to Cooper, Dr. Brand, Case, and Tars, who are trying to track down Dr. Mann before he fucks everything up. Obviously, it does not go well, and this is the sequence that I thought Waterworld was enough. No, people, I almost pissed my pants at this docking sequence. He's literally just trying to attach himself to the shuttle so that everything doesn't go to shit. The music's cranked up to a goddamn 11. I'm legitimately torn between this and the Waterworld sequence as what are my favorites. Interstellar is not a film, people. It's a legitimate experience that you gotta watch it for yourself.
Come on, Tars!
Success! We docked. Everything's looking good now. Except, hold on, now the gravitational pull of Gargantua, the black hole, is sucking them in. So, hey, we got a problem, folks. What's Newton's third law? Thank you, Tars. Coop decides to pull a fast one on Dr. Brandon Case. He tells her straight up, hey, we're good. We just gotta wait, and then we're gonna use the gravitational pull to accelerate. It's cool shit. But Coop decides to sacrifice himself and Tars, which, hey, Cooper, I don't know if you need to hear this, but robot lives matter too. Cooper and Tars hang back while Dr. Brand and Case are heading toward Edmund's planet. As far as Cooper's concerned, he's like, well, job well done for them. They're gonna live on, I brought this couple back together, I don't know what to do about my kids, but we just gotta hope for the best here. This point in the film is sort of a crossroads moment, okay? Because once Cooper falls into the black hole, they attempt to answer some questions, okay? I'm sure you got plenty if you haven't seen this one already. Or if you did also, you probably also have questions. Fuck this shit, this is horrifying. And as if falling through a black hole wasn't enough, it teleports him to this seemingly weird gray planet. He's just falling, just legitimately falling into its atmosphere. He's not burning up or anything. This is where I realize, yeah, something's wrong here. It turns out, people, this is not a goddamn planet. This is what they call the Tesseract. No, not from the Avengers. Shut up, Loki. If I'm not mistaken, they explain it that humans in the future have created this pathway. Perhaps you want to call it a means to an end, if you will. Cooper is established as sort of the hero of it all. Well, not really. He's sort of like the messenger. And if you want to be technical, it's actually Tars who is able to relay the information. So it goes from Tars to Cooper back to Murph. How does he relay this information to Murph? All right, this is the huge point of contention that even I have trouble, defending, so to speak. Still love it. But yeah, it turns out Cooper, through gravity, is able to manipulate things in the past, such as creating patterns in a goddamn dust storm. Yeah, okay, I can't explain this shit. He's also able to tinker with a watch that he left for Murphy. He's able to use Morse code and then inputs that data into the watch. No, they show you how he does this, and I still can't explain it to you. Straight up, people, I found this shit amusing, but also confusing in the best way possible. So now that the message has been relayed and Cooper sort of fulfills his purpose, does he die so that humanity can live on? Nope. Luckily for him, the Tesseract shit him out somewhere near Saturn. Squeeze! Ah, it felt good! Later, we discover that this is way in the future. Humans are still alive, thanks to him and Murph. The writers decide to use him as a mouthpiece for any remaining questions you might have. They try their best to answer it, but he's still like, this ain't gonna work for me, okay? I'm probably gonna mess up the quote, but he says, I don't much like pretending that we're still here where we started. I wanna see where we've been and where we're going. Straight up. But where is Murph and Tom? Psych! No one cares about Tom. He fed her the info. She used it to save the Earth. I believe at this point he's roughly 120 something years old. Like, he's been gone for, I don't know, if I had to guess, 80 something years. So Murph is explained to somehow be alive via cryogenic chambers. Yes, she was able to live this long life and then put herself in cryogenic sleep just in case he ever came back. It's fucking heartbreaking, man. I'm getting a little teary-eyed thinking about it. You know, you leave Earth, you got this, I don't know, 8-year-old daughter, and then you come back, she's like 80. How do you wrap your mind around any of this shit? Luckily, we don't have too much time to wait on that. She kicks his ass out, tells him to go find Dr. Brand. Let's continue. Honestly, at this point in the film, I was sort of raising the question of, like, do we actually need Dr. Brand on that planet? That maybe, you know, she can come back and whatever Earth 2 is, I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, Cooper probably could have gotten some help here. He decides to take matters into his own hands, but it's like, dude, humans are everywhere. We're like roaches. We could probably get you there a little faster, but hey, that ain't Coop, baby. Nope, that ain't Coop. We cut to Anne Hathaway's character, Dr. Brand, who's looking sad on this distant planet by herself. It turns out Edmonds did not make it. I don't even know if she even got to have a reunion with him. All we see is his grave and his nameplate. Things are looking super bleak, people. I gotta say, I was like, no, do not end it this way. Please don't. But then they cut away and we see that her and Tars have actually are on the early stages of building a community. So essentially the plan's working, but also it's been 80 Earth years. So when her and Cooper reunited, is there gonna be a huge age gap as well? I don't know. I got questions, people. That's one we never get answered because, well, that's the end of the goddamn film. Things are finally starting to look up. And then, credits. Woo! This was intimidating, people. This film has been on my top list for the entire decade that it's been released. So let me tell you, certain films are really hard for me to review because I don't want to talk about every single thing that I love and hate. Movies such as Interstellar, Logan, which I have on display over here, also Fury, which I recently reviewed, the first Creed film, The Batman from 2022. These are all, in my opinion, goated films that will stand the test of time. There's so many others. Now, if you're a fan of Creed, stay tuned because I will be reviewing this next year in 2025. Somewhere around the Thanksgiving season because, well, I watch this every year during that period. There is a Thanksgiving scene in this film, but it's less than 5 minutes of screen time. So at this point, I think I need to give out my final rating as if you needed to know. If you've been paying attention to this review, you probably know where this is going, so let's not waste your time here at all. Interstellar gets a rating of New Religion. Okay, yes, this is the highest possible rating. I love this film so much, and it's only getting nearer and dearer to my heart as time passes. Stock up on your corn and watch Interstellar for an authentic experience. Thank you so much for tuning in, people. My name is Henry from Ahead of the Curve 94, and I'm signing out, y'all. Deuces. Hey, it's me again, the guy from the thing you just watched or fell asleep on, and you know who you are. Either way, I just need to say thank you so much. You deserve a reward, so there you go. And while we're here, please consider subscribing, leaving a comment, and most definitely check out another video. Perhaps this one right here, or maybe that one over there. The choice is entirely up to you. And that is the Ahead of the Curve promise.